The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I talk about things that I feel need talking about, and sometimes they're not getting the attention they deserve. And your feelings, they're not under consideration.
This episode is brought to you by Kia's first three-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with the Matt and Eric of 69 Whiskey. This was a blast. I can't wait for a chance to talk to these guys again, and I hope you enjoy listening to the rest of the conversation.
The moment that I knew that you were a ride or die friend was we went to a concert together, and it was a Disturbed concert. It was one of the hottest motherfucking days of the entire goddamn year.
Awful. Fuck. It was May too. It was May.
So we're sitting in this outdoor venue and dying
on the lawn,
heat.
mind you, on the lawn.
And
it was even worse.
I can feel it coming because I've had like a heat injury before where I get dehydrated, migraine, spitting, all the fun shit. And we are like midway. We are just about the time when Disturbed is taking the stage. My heat stroke is really kicking in at this point. So my head is spinning. I can barely talk to Mish. And he goes, all right. Right before like the encore starts, I'm like, all right, hey, you want to leave, man? It's like, no, let's stay for the encore. I'm like,
mind you, right. I didn't know how bad
he didn't realize. He didn't realize at this point yet. But we're in like Camden, New Jersey.
Shithole.
Okay.
And we start walking out of this venue, and I'm watching him like visibly shaken as he now puts 2 and 2 together that I'm not 100% there. And he's just like, man, I really hope we don't get jumped here. I can't do nothing, man.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, shut up, Mish. Just fucking carry me. We'll be fine.
So keep in mind, may I take over the story from here?
Go ahead.
Because I'm not sure how much you have a recollection of at this point.
I really don't.
Okay, so I will take over from this point forward. We had the disadvantage of not having venue parking. We somehow got caught in a roadblock in the street that forced us to go into this little fuck off side parking lot that's like 2.5 blocks away from the venue. So we're like, fuck it. All right, we'll have to deal with this for now. I did not, and at the time I'm like, okay, we'll remember how we got there. Once I realized he was fucked, I realized I'm a dead man. I'm a non-confrontational white boy trying to aid an ailing friend at this point who was essentially my safety net going into the venue. And now my safety net is now completely cut, and I'm like a Cirque du Soleil actor or whatever, and I'm about to land through this cut hole in the netting. That's what I feel like at this moment in time. So I am just like, what do I do? First of all, we need to get you hydrated. So we got you water, and then now my next concern is, can you keep up with me as I'm now frantically trying to figure out where the fuck we are? Luckily, for the most part, he did. There was a couple of days couple times he was trailing a little bit, but I was just like, all right, hold up. Let me hold up and wait for him because I want to stay with the pack because odds are a lot of these people are going to end up where we were. And that's my ticket back to where we were. Now, and thankfully, that I was right. Now, this guy is fucking dying. And as I'm driving all the way home back to my house where his car is, because he came to me because he had to go from New York to my house, which is in the center of New Jersey, to go all the way back down to Camden. So I am now concerned for two things. One, I'm worried you're going to die at some point. Like, oh my God, there's no way he's coming out of this. I have to fucking go to the hospital. Who knows what the hell is going to happen? That's like one of the thoughts that goes through my mind. The next thought is, oh my God, this fucking guy pukes in my car. I am never talking to him again.
Really? If
Listen,
I puked in your car, you would have been that upset?
Well, maybe not that upset. I'm being a little dramatic, but I'm just saying, like, listen, my brother had someone puke in his car and it was a whole old ordeal. I'm not dealing with it on my end. Okay. I really don't want to have to deal with that shit.
Understood. I see how it is. I tell you that you proved to me you were a friend for life, and you tell me you were going to cut me off.
I was going to cut you off, all right? I was going to cut you off, but I was definitely going to make you pay for the damages, okay? But no, seriously, no. Like I wanted to make sure he was okay. You were sleeping, so you didn't know this, but I was like, when we were on the highway, I'm like looking over, making sure you're even fucking breathing. I'm making sure you're fucking breathing, you son of a bitch. So I don't want to ever hear shit from you ever again. You could call me anything you could say on the show I have no personality. You could say I get no bitches. You could say anything you want, but you can never say that I am not a good friend to you.
You are.
Exactly. That's what I thought. By the way, breaking news, everybody. I just won a fuck ton of money.
What?
Congratulations.
I just won a good chunk of change off some March Madness games, baby. Miami just beat number 1 Houston. Breaking news.
Fuck.
Let's fucking go. I bet $75 free from when I signed up with FanDuel earlier last week. I bet $75 free, and I just got like $200 something off this game because they were underdogs. Nice. Let's fucking go.
Good for you.
Well, fuck, my bracket's broke. Okay.
Listen, mine broke because West Virginia and Virginia decided to shit the bed in the first 2 games of the tournament. So all of my brackets broke early on, and now I think I actually have no fucking winner picks left because Alabama lost tonight too.
Fuck, that was my other one.
Yeah, let's see. I had Bama, Houston, Purdue, Kansas, and UCLA.
Yeah, okay, so we had pretty much the same Sweet 16. So shit. Oh well.
Hey, Princeton's on now, so I have that game on as we're having this conversation.
Yeah, well, see, I've actually was talking. Believe it or not, despite all of this, I've been getting back in the gym recently. And
oh, really?
Yeah, that's since December. My buddy from work and I've been like, he's in great shape, and he was kind of it's my buddy who got me the interview for the job I have currently. That was a whole nother fun thing when he called me up like, hey, you want this interview or you're still laid off? And I'm like, let's see, the company where you keep telling me how awesome it is and how great the people are and how happy you are with your current employment. No, I don't want an interview. That would be silly. I'm going to stay here on furlough. Said, fuck yes, get me the interview. He's like, well, I can't promise you the job. You got to earn the job, but I can get you the interview. I'm like, that's all I fucking need.
Shit. Shit, I got to earn it.
Yeah, I'm like, I promise I won't embarrass you. That's all I'm going to say. And I knew I knew I was going to like it when they're like, all right, here, you know where this cafe is? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, we're going to meet there for breakfast on Friday. I'm like, fuck, all right. At least even if I don't get the job, I get breakfast. Fuck yeah. So, and I got there, and my buddy introduced me to the guy that's now my boss, and he's like, okay, yeah, this is Nick, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, oh, I'm good, and he's like, all right, we're gonna order. He said we kind of talked about my background and stuff, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna order breakfast. You guys hungry? I'm like, well, I thought we were having breakfast. Yeah, yeah, I'm hungry. Let's get breakfast. Fuck yeah. We wound up ordering the same thing, and I was like, jinx. All right, cool. And because this particular cafe, they do a
really, really solid. Like it's kind of like an avocado toast, but they mix a bunch of vegetables into the avocado, so it's like a super loaded guacamole basically. And they've got a couple fried eggs on the top, and oh man, it's good. It's on point. And
That sounds delectable.
yeah, so I'm like, hey, this is a good interview. I got a good breakfast. I'm really hitting it off with this guy. And then so as we're getting ready to leave, he's like, I gotta be honest with you. He says I got one more person I got to talk to in Chicago. Then I got to fly back to Jersey, and he's like, you'll probably be hearing from me in a few days. I'll let you know what's going on. And I'm like, all right, cool. And he's like, I got to say though, I don't think this guy in Chicago is going to be the one I want to go with. And I'm like, well, you don't have to just say that because my buddy set the interview up. He's like, oh, I'm not. I'm just like, no, I'm really feeling good here. I'm like, awesome, thanks. And then I didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks, and I was kind of like, well, fuck, maybe that guy in Chicago was the one they wanted to go with, because I was just at that particular time there was a lot of competition for anything in the culinary field, so I was like, maybe this chef was a better chef than Aaron is, or maybe he had a better personality, or maybe he didn't like somebody that thought he was ordering the same breakfast because that's thought I was trying to kiss up, suck an ass by saying, hey, I like that food too. When it's like, no, that's what I was going to order. I knew what I was going to order before we sat down because I love this cafe. I knew exactly what I was getting. The fact that he got it was pure coincidence. So I was not trying to kiss anybody's ass or anything. I'm just like, no, you get the avocado toast on rye with 2 fried eggs. Yeah, that's exactly what I was planning on getting. So I was like, maybe he thought I was trying to suck up. What the fuck? And then I got a call back from my employer that was in furlough on me, like, hey, we got a position here, an executive spot. We want you to go interview for. And so I went to that. I went to that interview because I'm not going to say no.
Not in this economy.
Yeah, and that was like, it went okay. Like, it was that particular account, the client really liked me because I was working for a contracting company, and they were like, oh yeah, no, we definitely, we're interested in talking and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the deal. This is an hour and 30-minute each way commute for me. I'm like, I know what you're looking to pay, but I'm gonna need a little bit more because I'm gonna have to basically be on call. If somebody calls off in the morning, I have to be here at 5 a.m. to make sure everything runs smoothly, and that means I got to leave my house at like 3:30. If I'm going to be on that kind of call, it's going to cost you. If you like me that much, it's going to cost you an extra like $15,000 a year to have me on call. And they were like, oh yeah, well, we'll talk about it, and da-da-da-da. And then I get a phone call like that after I left that negotiation and drove in a snowstorm, like what should have been an hour and a half commute turned into like 3.5 hours for me to get from this facility back to my house. And I was grouchy and just like wet and cranky because I had to like deal with the garbage cans were rolling down the damn street. So I had to go chase them in a blizzard, and I was all pissed off. And I get in the house, and all of a sudden my phone starts ringing, and I'm like, hello? I'm like, who the fuck do I know in New Jersey? Hello? And it turned out to be the guy who's now my boss. He's like, hey, Aaron, sorry I didn't get back to you. I got COVID. I must have gotten on the plane back or something. I've been laid up for like the last 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, well, shit. Hey, hi, how you doing? Yeah, good to hear from you. He's like, yeah, no, we want to go ahead and offer you the job. And, here's the deal. I can send you over the letter with the offer on it and everything. You just sign it and send it back to me. And I'm like, okay, I got to tell you something. I did have another interview between the time we talked and now. I told you that before, too, because, my company, I was furloughed, not unemployed. And da-da. He's like, oh, yeah, no, I get it. I said, so I just want to call them up and tell them I've got the offer, that I'm going to take this offer if I don't hear back from them by, like, Monday. I said, but let's just assume that I'm going to say yes because I think that's probably going to happen. I said, I'm not going to do this back and forth and try and make you make another offer and everything. I said, this offer is fair. I'm just going to basically give them a chance to top it, and I don't think they're going to do it. And so I called up the GM at the account I had literally just left. I'm like, look, dude, here's the deal. Here's my offer that I got from another position that I am leaning towards taking. You have until tomorrow night to call me back with an offer topping this offer, or I'm going to accept it. And I didn't. And then the guy called me that like 3 days later. Like, did you take the offer? I'm like, I told you in the message I left you that if you did not call me by 5 p.m. next day, by close of business the next day, I was going to accept the offer because I hadn't heard from you, and I'm going to assume you don't want to go forward with trying to top their offer. And he's like, oh, so you took it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I took it. Duh. And I have not had an instance of regret it since. It's been fantastic. I love my job. And I forgot where I was going with that whole thing. My apologies.
That, as far as like job interviews go, the majority of mine have been fantastic. It's usually after the job interview that everything goes to shit for me.
That's fair.
Like I just had a nonprofit that I was working for.
Oh God!
That
don't get me started on that fucking shit show you've been telling me about.
I'm letting some barrels loose tonight.
Oh, please do, because I've been waiting for you to fucking make a lot of this shit public for a long time.
So these fucking scumbags start off the whole process. They offer us mileage reimbursement for picking up fellow employees to get to work. They offer us mileage reimbursement for driving to job sites because our whole thing is we are incentivizing COVID-19 vaccines in impoverished communities. So what they have me fucking doing every goddamn morning is driving from my house in Suffern all the way down to fucking Penn Station in Newark, New Jersey, driving to I want to say like Mayfield, New Jersey. I forget. It's like it's another 45-minute drive that is like away from the areas that they're going to send me from later, because they then have me pick up people at the office and drive back out to fucking Ewing.
So that's a lot of hauling ass around.
Yeah.
A
So
lot of gas too, especially that's when gas was shit at the time.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
now, how long do you think it took them to reimburse me on that mileage?
Well, let's see. Non-profit, I'm guessing 3-4 months, easy. Ouch.
Five motherfucking months. And you want to know the best part of it? They gave us the federal minimum.
Oh, Jesus.
And they were like, "Oh, we're being generous to you. The feds just raised it 2 extra cents. So that's what you get." And I'm just like, that's not being generous.
That's the bare fucking minimum.
You're not helping me. You're fucking me and then telling me to say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
Oh, good Lord.
And then the best part, at the end of the contract, and you're going to love this one, they fired everybody in the program. They turned around, they fired everybody in the program, and they said, "Okay, everybody, you now need to reapply and re-interview for all of your positions, or come October 1st, you're all out of a job." And I went, "No."
Good answer.
The smartest. Listen, I was the recipient of many phone calls at night when he would call me and tell me about his woes at this job. For how long were you working there? It's coming up on a year that you got hired at that place, right? You got hired in March or something. Or
Yeah,
May,
I was there for 9 months. 9 months.
So you were there for 9 months. So I'd say about once every 2 or 3 weeks, I'd get a call from him about what's going on at this job. And it's a fucking nightmare. It's a nightmare.
I don't know how you go out and do events and not use social media. I don't know how you don't
Yeah.
update a website calendar when you have spreadsheets of dates, times, and locations.
Jesus Christ.
That's just the that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's like a whole.
I can. I mean, this is an audio only media, but I can see that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's right here in the tension.
They hired me because I was a marketing fucking guru. Because I have a fucking master's degree in business communications.
And then they didn't utilize that. They used you as a taxi service.
Yeah.
That's what I gathered from this.
Well, no. They didn't just utilize me as a taxi service because so for the first 4 months while I was doing the taxi service and making all of these connections, I was also editing the company website to update the calendar because that was my job until they stopped me doing it and gave it to somebody else who didn't do it ever. Editing videos for training and onboarding of new employees, which they never used. Monitoring the social media that they hired an outside company to manage that never did. And I spent all of that time, A, trying to get my fucking mileage reimbursement, B, trying to get a fucking raise, and C, trying to get control of being the media guy, because that's what I was there doing.
Yeah. I don't understand when shit like that happens. I mean, you hire somebody to do a job and then you don't have them.
Well, no, they
fucking
hired
job.
me. They hired me to do outreach.
Oh, okay.
And then they found out that I was really good at all of this other shit, and they were like, all right, do all of this extra shit. And I was like, okay, pay me more. And they went, no. And I went, all right, guess I'm not doing all this extra shit.
Seems perfectly logical to me.
They got real mad about it.
Nah, fuck them. I mean,
I'm real happy the feds pulled the fucking plug on it.
Yeah,
don't they like not exist anymore?
Oh no, they do somehow.
Just not in this area.
No, they still are running out of the same exact office. They still have all of the same exact people. They have 2 new programs that are dedicated to fighting off sexual assault and all sorts of other stuff. They still have we're going to make life better for veterans and make sure that they don't go homeless, which, by the way, doing so fantastic.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing. I was grasping for something witty, and no, that's just really not. It's a shit situation.
There is no wit.
There's no wit.
Just pain. Just pain. That's it.
That is my life. Sadness, misery, abuse. It's fun.
Well, I mean, I don't judge if that's what works for you.
I mean, there's a reason I'm a sadomasochist.
That's fair. Again, I'm not going to judge.
It starts to add up.
Rock and roll, man. I mean, if you can cope and work with it, more power to you.
Listen, there's a reason why I was able to think of a glove that had thumbtacks put through the palm of it as a sex toy.
Not Mr. Happy. Oh my god. Here we go. Here he goes again with Mr. fucking Happy. Oh god.
Mr. Happy. Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, once I heard the whole machete thing, that was after that. I was just like, okay, you know what? I like these guys.
Now, you know what? I feel like we never really got into it. We mentioned it early in the show, but it's just like, how did you even hear about this? Is it just because we were in the same group as you were?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to. No, the way we actually got connected was recently when Tabby added me to that group on Twitter.
Tabby added you to the group.
Yeah. But no, I had actually started listening to you guys a while back, and just because when I first started getting into podcasting, I was, like going Twitter and different places looking for different podcasts, and I was like, oh, 69 whiskey. I like whiskey.
Everybody
Oh,
says
yes.
Yes.
It got another one. Fuck yes.
And I think it says something about me that I listened to like one episode and went, all right, I'm in. So, I mean, do with that information what you will. I mean,
I had a guy on Twitter a couple of months ago say something very similar to what you just said. For all I know, it could have been you. I don't know. But he straight up says, like, I followed this show because I thought it talked about whiskey. What the hell is, like, not in like a mean way, but like he said, like, what the hell is this stuff?
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have been me, because I would have been just like, I followed the show because I thought it was about whiskey, and it's not about whiskey.
It goes to show just how little people actually read the profiles they follow, as well as the descriptions of the shows and the podcasts that they listen to.
So I will give a little bit of credit to all of the listeners out there that we have tricked into this show.
Somehow.
Well, no, because to be completely honest, we did do it a little bit tactically at the beginning, because with the whole 69 whiskey thing, yes, it's a huge we've done for many, many years, and we've told the story over and over and over again about what a 69 whiskey is. But when we first started branding the show, we were like, all right, bar aesthetics, because part of the show is like how to talk to somebody at a bar. Yeah, that's part of what we talk about. But we also talk about kinky shit and fucking whips, floggers, neon wands, and all that other fun shit. But yeah, no, I think that we probably one of these days should probably update the look and design of the podcast, just to be like, hey, we're not like a bar podcast. We are a horror podcast.
Well, I mean, I'm like
Still
I said,
starts with a W.
well, like I said, I'm here for it. Like I said, I enjoy you guys, the dynamic, the talks, the guests. It's all. I mean, occasionally I will, because I've listened to podcasts pretty much all day while I'm at work, unless I'm talking to people. Because at my current job, I do like R&D chef. Basically, I do a lot of product testing, and I get to spend a lot of my time, if I'm not on the phone with somebody, trying to explain to them, like, okay, no, I know you said the recipe is not a good recipe, but I've made this dish 90 times in the last 3 months because I keep getting phone calls about it. And I have literally tried to figure out how to have the fuck up problems you guys are having with this product. So I have to cook it and deliberately ruin it so I can figure out what you're doing wrong, so I can tell you what to stop doing. And trust me, the recipe's fine. You guys are fucking up. That's the general long and the short of a lot of my phone calls. I mean, obviously I don't get to tell them they're fucking up, but I'm like, okay, here are problems we need to address that may be the issue to get the product handled properly, so you guys can blah, 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 blah. And I put together PowerPoints and slideshows and instructional videos, and I email them.
Does it sound like maybe you should learn to dice an onion sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes. I had somebody say to me one time,
cut. It's always the wrong cut. A simple. There's a difference between a mince, a dice, and a rough chop. I would know. I went to culinary vocational school when I was in high school. Okay, we get into that at some point in time.
I'm so happy I set this off.
That's beautiful. And
it's a fucking difference.
You're not wrong. But and in most of the instructions I have, and I put it rough chop, minced, diced. I don't go any deeper than that, because I know a lot of these guys are, I'm working with also rans and people that may not have the best grasp of the language. So I'm trying to keep it simple. But so I have a lot of time, like if I'm in the kitchen or whatever, and I just after being in the service industry for a long ass time now, I'm used to always having either music or some kind of background noise on. And when I was laid off, I got a whole bunch of shows I started listening to, because I was like, okay, I'm going to find stuff I like. I'm going to find stuff I want to, like, get an idea of what I want to do. I'm going to find stuff I'm going to completely rip off, and I'm going to find people I'm going to go after because they're fucking annoying. Because, it was the great pod boom of 2019 where all of a sudden every fucking half-wit decided they were going to be the next Joe Rogan. And,
hey, it sounds like two goofballs from Jersey.
Huh.
AKA us.
Oh well, and that's the thing. I got into it, and so who the fuck am I to talk? I am one of those assholes that started a podcast in the great pod boom of 2019. But I didn't get into it thinking I'm going to be Rogan. I got into it going, if I don't scream at somebody, I'm going to lose my fucking mind, or I'm going to wind up like buried underneath the pool behind the house. Because my wife watches a lot of true crime. I think she'd be really good at getting rid of the body. I'm just saying. Because
I would have no doubt in my mind.
The way she watches it is what gets me. She doesn't watch it like, oh, this is casual and I'm enjoying it. She watches it and is like, that right there is why that bitch went to jail. And I'm like, and then like 30 minutes later, the narrator's like, but this turned out to be her downfall. And I'm like, fucking hell. She's never going to get caught. She's going to get all the insurance money.
There's more than enough true crime podcasts for her to pick from too, which is even wilder to think about.
Oh, I can't believe the number of those people. I'm like, you are a morbid bunch of fucks. Now granted, there's some great ones out there. There's some very informational ones out there. I have friends that have true crime podcasts.
So do I.
I'm not judging at all. I'm just saying I don't get it either is the thing. It's not my thing. I have like a couple I listen to because I like their approach or I like the different take they do on it. But at the end of the day, I'm not. There's enough morbid shit in my life. I don't need to bring in more. So,
here's why I love them, because I am a dark, twisted individual who has done some really fucked up things. As I've said on multiple occasions, there are blood on my hands. Can't say how many. Because it's really hard to count with artillery.
That's fair.
So, with that being said, I enjoy that kind of stuff all the time. And one of like the first book series that I got into was a combination of crime novel / fantasy horror / erotic novel. And that was the book series after Harry Potter for me. So
okay,
it's the Anita Blake series, isn't it?
It is. It
God
is.
Damn it! You keep fucking talking that.
Listen, I just finished the newest book in literally 3 days.
Anita Blake, huh?
Yes.
I may check that out.
Little bit of a synopsis. Basically, it's about this woman in, if I remember correctly, she's in St. Louis. And she is a necromancer for a private company that reanimates the loved ones of people who have recently passed on, either for therapeutic reasons or as a means of saying goodbye to their loved ones one last time. But in her free time, she works as a supernatural executioner for the PD. Because vampires are public, werewolves and their kind not so much, and there's a lot of like political stuff that goes along with that's really fucking interesting.
Kind of sounds interesting. Like I said, I'm gonna excuse me for a moment here.
Another recipe issue?
No, I was writing down Anita Blake so I don't forget.
And
then the grumbling is because I think the dog is trying to open the bedroom door. She's determined. But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. No, that actually sounds really kind of interesting. I like I said, I don't have issues with like true crime type stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. But when it comes to like procedural and kind of occultish or supernatural type stuff, I actually really enjoy books that are like that for some reason. It's just listening to, and maybe part of it's too because a lot of the crime pods cover a lot of the same stuff, and I'm kind of like, that's like a couple of the ones I look at. Like one of them only covers crimes that happened pre like 1900. I'm like, I find that stuff really interesting. It's not something I've heard about a dozen times and seen a half a dozen shows that my wife watched, because I will sit on the couch and kind of watch whatever she's watching, but only peripherally, because I'll usually be sitting there with a book in my hand or something while she's watching. But I've seen enough recreations of a lot of the current modern true crimes where it's like I don't have to pay that good of attention because I pretty much already know the story. So
how many times is someone going to talk about Jeffrey Dahmer or the one? Or the couple other ones that are popular, I forgot their names.
Gacy, Bundy,
the what's the Hispanic dude's name? The Night Stalker guy,
Richard Ramirez.
That one. Like, how many times are people going to talk about those motherfuckers? Like, come on.
Even stuff like like H.H. Holmes, which is one of the older ones, but I've
oh God, Holmes.
And living where I do in the Midwest, I grew up actually right between Chicago and Milwaukee. So I got Dahmer on one side, I got friggin' Holmes and all the Chicago serial killers on the other side. And I'm like, just fucking spare me.
The Midwest seems to be a hotbed for serial killers.
Yeah, if you spent enough time here, you'd understand why.
I mean, with the amount of snow you guys get, I can see why.
I mean, we're not much better.
No, people shoot each other for fun in the hoods.
No. Let's talk about all of the bodies that are currently in the bottom of the Brooklyn River.
Oh, that's the Italians. They did all that.
That's business.
That's the Italians and the Irish. I have no
Italians, the Irish. Let's also not forget the Jewish mob.
There was a Jewish mob?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, shit. I got something to look forward to. I gotta look this up. I love mob shit. See, fuck true crime. Give me mob stuff. I'll fucking listen to it all day.
See, and that's the other stuff that I've been listening to recently, which is the fucking ridiculous mob shit. I also love how the fucking Sopranos was used to take down the Italian mob in Jersey. That was fucking priceless.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. I've got there's mob stuff around here too. Again, Chicago. What can you do?
No,
yes.
I mean, wasn't that Capone's town?
Yeah,
Chicago. Okay, got it.
Scarface Al and St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and
yep,
yeah, a lot of bootlegging came through here, and then actually, a lot of people don't really talk about it, but there was I'm originally from Kenosha, which was in the news a couple of years ago. You might have heard it was on fire for a few days. Yeah, that's my hometown.
I mean, it's better than most of California, where they're just on fire all the time.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that's where I'm from, and like Kenosha, actually, when I was a kid, particularly, it's not the dynamic has changed a little bit just as the population has been shifting, but very very Italian town. When I was a kid, they used to joke you were 1/12 Italian just by being born there. So, there was a lot of mafia related stuff there because it's right between Chicago and Milwaukee. It's right on the Lake Michigan. You got basically an uncontrolled port. You do all kinds of shipping. You go all the way up to Canada without touching the shore. Import a lot of booze and stuff through there, and so yeah, we had a lot of stuff that not nearly as well known, but like there's a house to this day. I think it's still referred to as the Al Capone house because Al Capone owned it, and it was because it was a hop, skip, and a jump away from the state line, and if he needed to get away from the Illinois police, he just ran up to his other house. And things like that. So yeah, I can appreciate some good mob stories. And then I've actually got a few that are from my family that are a different approach on things. And I mean, because I'm actually, my side of the family is like Scottish, which they had dealings with the mob, but were not really nearly as well known or talked about. Not directly with any of my family members, allegedly, but like Scots were basically a bunch of like hitmen and shit. So It's
I mean, anyone from that area between Ireland and Scotland was pretty much a hitman in some regard.
yeah, it's like if they wanted, a made guy taken out, they couldn't have another Italian do it. Yeah, let's go get one of those kilt wearing fellas.
Let's be fair. I think the United States is probably so stupid nowadays that they probably think that Scots still live in the huts in Braveheart.
It's funny. I was going to say it's funny. Most of my relatives are all rednecks or farm moguls.
There's nothing wrong with
Which is funny because none of my immediate family members has anything to do with farming or agriculture. It's fucking ridiculous.
That's fair.
So, when my family first immigrated to this country, they were, at least my father's side of the family was a bunch of farmers. And they created this lovely thing, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it, called Tuscan fucking dairy. Used to basically have all of the milk and dairy produce for the entire East Coast.
Yeah, might be familiar.
Now is known as Turkey Hill.
Yeah, that name might register.
What? You guys fucking did that?
The other half of the family, the one that has the money.
Oh,
because here's where the dividing line happens. My grandfather drove trucks for Tuscan Dairy. His brother did all of the legal and accounting.
Yeah.
Who do you think was part of the board?
The truck driver. No, that's where you get the mob guys in there driving the trucks.
Yeah, it's like The Irishman. I heard you paint houses.
Oh, that's a good flick.
Long as fuck, but very good.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a watch, as it were. But
however, as far as like personal stories and organized crime go,
oh God,
I once had an entire train car full of military equipment go missing.
oh Jesus!
oh fuck, this is worse than when he lost the machete. What the fuck?
So we were shipping, I want to say, a couple of $1 million worth of like Army gear to California because we were doing a training exercise and we had to send all of our gear before we went there because there was no fucking way we were putting all of that in a commercial airplane. the civilians being okay with that. Nah. So we throw all of our shit onto these Connexes, throw all these Connexes onto the fucking shipping train, and we send it. We go to the train yard at the in California, and 4 fucking cars are missing.
Jesus.
Thank God my gear wasn't on that. I went, oh, my shit's here. Oh, thank God. Because the best part is 5 years later, as I am leaving my unit, one of my friends is running around the office screaming about how fucking stupid the military's gear system is. Because and I go, what's the matter? Calm down, fucking chill. He's like, man, I gotta go get this fucking police report. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, remember when the fucking cartels stole our shit? And I go, yeah. Well, the fucking gear people are trying to charge me for all of the gear that the fucking cartel stole.
Oh, Jesus. It's like, yeah, we know you lost all your shit, but that'll be $2,000.
No. Did you?
I'm just throwing shit out. I no idea how much gear was actually lost. Oh, I can imagine. I've dealt with government billing before.
You know,
I made it out with owing them $3,000, and I returned most of my shit. If I did not return any of my gear, I would have owed over $200,000.
Jesus Christ. That's insane.
They were going to charge him for 2 full fucking sets.
Oh, Jesus.
You know,
thank you for your service. That'll be $500,000.
Yeah, right.
Jesus Christ.
You know, I once made a statement on another podcast that civilians wouldn't be able to take the military. I think I'm wrong. You guys are idiots.
I mean, the way that they treat you is kind of fucked. But
just a little.
But I understand some stuff. Like some of the stupidity that I've heard about in the military of like cartel guys enlisting in the military, because we had one of those occurrences in my base where one of the cartel guys enlisted in the military. He made it through basic training, got his citizenship to the United States, got through AIT, made it to his duty station, checked in, did everything. Then one night, checked in about 5 people into post. They hung out and partied most of the day, then went to their unit building after hours, stole everybody's fucking gear.
Jesus.
And then pieced out to Mexico.
Got to give them credit for the long game, I guess. Jeez.
And they never found it?
No.
Oh my God.
Maybe? Who the fuck knows? Ask CID. They're still bitching at me for a fucking M4.
Oh, that sucks.
Which, hold on. Give me 1 second, because I need to take a puff to fucking tell this story.
Oh, God.
My unit gets chosen to do a training exercise with the top ROTC fucking cadets in the country. We get chosen to play the bad guys and run around the forest and be like, ah, la, 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 and fucking try not to be that politically incorrect, but I mean, it's who we were at war with. We are camping out while this is going on because we can't go back into base every day and then ship everything out and do all of this other shit. So essentially, we are deployed in the States, but not deployed in the States. And I get in trouble for being messy one day. So I am set on a super stringent schedule of having my shit set up a certain way, having all of my doing things a very, very specific and anal way so that nobody can bitch at me ever. And I kid you not, the platoon that I was staying with, because my job in the military was treated as a redheaded stepchild and passed around like a $2 whore, decided that they were going to leave all of their rifles in a pile next to the fucking door. And I decided to stick with my military training and sleep on top of my rifle. The next day, I'm out in the fucking woods, and I get a fucking call on the radio. Everybody got their M4s? Everybody got their M4s? Yeah? Why? Read me your serial number. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's your M4. Fantastic. You keep a hold of it. What's going on? Don't worry about it. Where's your M4? Blah, 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 blah. And this goes on for like 4 fucking hours. And nobody's saying shit. Finally, we get back to base. And everyone, all of the higher ups are running around screaming. And the military police are out there. And they're like, all right, gentlemen, one of you is a thief. One of you stole an M4. Military fucking property. So, who here wants to fess up? We promise you won't get in trouble right now. If you fess up right now, we will be lenient. And I'm just like, the fuck happened? What dumbass steals an M4? These aren't even fucking good. Like, I appreciate the fact that the person that stole it stole the one with the fucking ACOG. I will give you that. You stole one good piece of military gear. Congratulations. But you son of a bitch, the fact that I had to march around the motherfucking woods for the next 5 fucking weeks, day in, day out, marching, just, okay, let's go back and fucking run drills with the fucking cadidiots. All right, we'll do that for 4 hours and then go back and just start marching the woods again, looking for this fucking M4 that's already gone. And then they had the balls. They had the balls to call me in as a prime suspect.
That's ridiculous.
They polygraphed me and tried to say I failed. I was like, listen, man, I know that this is an interrogation technique. I used to work in the detention center in Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah, you don't have any idea what you're talking about at all. Oy. Although that does track. I got a buddy of mine that used to be a property master. Not going to say at what base he was on, but I have no problem believing they lost shit and couldn't find shit and blamed people that had nothing to do with shit. Just because I know him. And I may have a pair of NVGs somewhere, but that's not really the... hypothetically, this is all for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Don't come after us, government.
Yeah, no, I'm sure my agent has better things to get me for than making jokes about stolen military equipment. You know, like all the other really tasteless jokes I make about, like, tarring and feathering politicians. Just because, I'm just saying maybe we should try it again, I don't think we gave it a fair shake.
Yeah. I miss having a top secret security clearance. It was a fun time.
I can imagine. I don't know. I don't think I could actually ever get one. I do know I am on a list. So
I'm going to say this, and it's going to be real unfortunate for me to say. It may be because of the fact that, like, I was real young and I really hadn't done jack shit. But it wasn't real hard to get a fucking TS.
Okay, that's fair. No, I apparently I have a buddy of mine that's in the Secret Service, and apparently my name somehow came up. This was years and years ago when he was going through his background check, because we graduated from high school together and all this other shit, and I got called, like, I don't know how I got brought into this whole thing, but they were like, okay, do you know him? I'm like, yeah, we went to high school together. And I'm like, okay, when's the last time you spoke to someone? I'm like, I haven't talked to this guy in like 10 fucking years. Why? Okay, just that's all.
Oh, no, that's actually that is standard procedure.
Well, that's not the end of the story.
Oh no.
oh yeah. So I get a phone call like 3 weeks later that from this guy that I haven't talked to in like 10 fucking years. And he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He's like, well, no, they asked me a lot of questions about you. And I'm like, okay, this might go back to that whole, like when I was like 18 years old, I got quoted in a newspaper as saying that I thought we should probably drag a bunch of politicians out by their teeth. And because I was 18 and fucking stupid. And
huge inside joke that
I was actually because I went to go vote. I actually ditched class to go vote in my first election when I was 18. I cut class to go vote for president because and this was in 96. So I think it was Clinton, and I didn't want to vote for him. So I went and I got interviewed like, here's a young person partaking in the political process. What do you have to say? I'm like, they're all fucking crooks. I'm an anarchist. I only want to do this because I believe that we should, be active and proactive in throwing these bums out on their fucking asses. And if you don't partake, you don't have a right to complain. So that's why. And I went off on this whole like 18-year-old arrogant ass rant that apparently followed me around for like another 15 fucking years. Yep. And yep, there you go. Do you know this guy that threatened the U.S. government? And then I was like, at this point, I was like, what was I? I was like pushing 30, and I'm like, I grew up. I was young and stupid. And he's like, well, that's what I told him. And I'm like, and then I told him I haven't talked to you in like a decade. And I'm like, oh, that was probably a good answer. So your first reaction after my name comes up in your screening process is to call me. I was like, you know what? I hope they put you on guard detail. I really do. I'm sure you'll make a really good bullet sponge.
Yeah.
It's that's actually wild to think about. But like even then, like I know someone that was a teacher of mine at a previous job he had. He worked with somebody, and it turns out that guy was part of a fucking terrorist group.
Jesus.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, like there was like I don't remember all the details, but it was I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, full story, and one of my teachers there, I guess, had another job in his youth, and I know he became really good friends with this guy who worked there, and turns out the guy that he was really good friends with, and they were like best friends basically, he was a fucking terrorist. Or a wannabe terrorist. And he went through the whole thing like, do you know so-and-so? How do you know him? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, holy shit, dude. Imagine something like that. Now, I'm not saying you're a terrorist. I was
just a mouthy, stupid kid.
Exactly. But this guy actually had he was part of a fucking group that had plans to do some shit.
See, I just get to be on a list now because of shit that I know.
Like, yeah, we just keep an eye on him, bro.
What are the nuclear codes?
No. It's
where do we dig?
It's more of my demolitions expertise that I'm on a list for.
Oh, that's fine.
How did you get that railgun to work, Eric?
It was very heavy, and it took me lots and lots of pieces over many months.
Oh Lord, that's
God.
lovely. Yeah. Although actually, it was kind of funny too, in kind of an addendum to my buddy who's in the Secret Service. Well, buddy's a strong word. My former classmate who's in the Secret. This motherfucker's going to be calling me up like, "What did you say on your podcast? I got fired last week." Like, I didn't say we were friends. It's just you're an acquaintance. But in an other side of the coin, now it's I don't know. Like, this may not even be related, but another kind of semi funny thing is when my kid brother was in basic, he was in the Navy, and he was going through basic training and boot camp. And all that
How many
stuff.
husbands has he had?
I was gonna
I
say
apologize. I had to.
It's-
I couldn't resist.
If you think it and it's funny, you got to say it. That's all there is to it. I understand the interforce. I mean, fuck it. I say the same thing. So I'm actually kind of the black sheep because I'm the only one that didn't enlist right out of high school, and it's because I'm a jackass. Basically, I took the ASVABs and all. This was also before the whole getting interviewed and saying a bunch of stupid shit incident. But I took the ASVABs because I was like, yeah, why not? It gets me out of class for a half a day, and I did fairly well because I'm a reasonably intelligent guy, and I test really well for some friggin' reason. I don't know why I have a gift, and so I was getting hit by like every single recruiter was calling me up like within a few days of getting my scores back. And being an 18-year-old jackass, again, as evinced by being interviewed, my first thought is, let me talk about a bunch of shit that might get me in trouble if anybody ever hears this. My attitude with the recruiters was like, oh yeah, I'll think about enlisting, but before that, I'm like, I want to shoot a Barrett. That's my only request. I want to shoot a Barrett. And they're like, well, with these scores, you could go to officer training. And I'm like, I don't care about that. We're not even talking that far down the line. I want to shoot the 50 cal before I will agree to anything. And nobody would get me range time. And so I was like, fuck you guys. So you fast forward like 2 years and my kid brother's, going into boot. And like the base commander at Great Lakes is one day calls him into the office and he's like, yeah, since you got out of your initial boot phase, you call your mom every week. When's the last time you talked to your dad? And my brother's like, all due respect, what? Like, how do you know? How do you know I haven't been talking to my dad? It's like, well, maybe you should call your dad. And I'm like, my dad's at work right now, sir. I don't have his phone number. Oh, don't worry. You can use my phone. Call him. Oh, and now for years we've had a lot of theories about stuff my dad may or may not have been involved in, like when he was in Vietnam and things like that, because he was in the Tonkin Gulf and a bunch of other stuff, because I've seen his patches. But he always told us when we were kids that he worked on a refueling ship, and that's why he was and he was the Navy boxer when they do the Army Navy matches and stuff. That's why he taught us how to fight before we could really walk and stuff like that. So we're like, okay, yeah, sure. Sounds great, Dad. You worked on refueling ships, and that's why you got 18-inch fucking biceps from pulling those hoses back up when they drop off the ships. Okay, no problem. That tracks. And so we spend our childhood figuring, yeah, Dad was just a Navy boxer, and he worked on a refueling ship during Vietnam. And I got a little older. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking pry if whatever he didn't want to talk about. He didn't want to fucking talk about it. But then, like I said, my brother's going through Great Lakes boot, and the base commander calls him in and is like, "Hey, yeah, here, call your dad. Here's the number. You can use my phone. Just don't tell him you're talking to me, though. Just ask him how he's doing and shit like that. Just catch up with him." Like, okay, the fuck. And then my brother gets off the phone with my dad. Like, hey, Dad, what you doing? Yeah, okay, I'm just working. Okay, great. Yeah, blah blah blah. They shoot the shit, and so how's your brother doing? Is he still doing the chef thing? Blah, 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 blah. And then, so my brother that night proceeds to, like, when he's, has his little personal time before it's time to rack out, calls me at my mom's house, because I had just moved back home because I had to run away from a stalker, which was a whole nother story. And so I'm at my mom's house. The phone starts ringing. I see the caller ID, because, we had the little box caller ID thing. And I look at it. I'm like, oh, it's, great. It's Matt. And I'm like, I answer the phone like, hang on, I'll go get Mom. He's like, no, dude, I got to talk to you. What? And he proceeds to tell me this. Yeah, I got pulled out of fire class today to go call Dad in the middle of the day. The base commander has Dad's work number. I'm like, now, at this point, I'm 22 years old. I have never known my dad's work phone number, ever. I'm like, that's kind of weird. What Dad have to say? Dad, he's like, well, Dad's, he said he's out single tracking, which my dad worked for the railroad. And so that's just one of the jobs he did, where he would take his truck and go like out to a switching station somewhere along the railroad and watch that switch all day to make sure it worked. And that was his job. And he would sit in the bed of his truck with a little hibachi grill, and he would grill up a steak for lunch, and he would watch the track. And then he would be home by like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Sounds like a fantastic job.
It's not a, I mean, he worked for the railroad for like 30 some years. So he earned that right to be able to do that particular job. And that was what he did during the summer. I'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing, Dad?" He's like, "Oh, I'm going single tracking. I'm single tracking this week." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I would go and like there would be like 2 coolers in the bed of his truck, and one would be full of bottled water, and the other one would be full of like meat. I'm like, "Yeah, you're going to be working really hard this week, I can tell." I'm like, how many steaks you got in there? Just a few. And like the railroad paid for him and shit. So and he would feed any of the crews that came by to replace railroad ties and shit. He'd cook for everybody. I'm like, good gig. But yeah, so my brother's like, "Yeah, dude, this is what happened. Base commander told me to call Dad. I called Dad. I talked to Dad. Then they, before I'm like, okay, can I go back to, fire class? Cause he was, training to fire one of the big guns. And, they're like, yeah. Hey, how's your brother doing? Is he still working at that restaurant?" And I'm like, I met this guy once, like when I was like 12. How the hell does he know I'm a chef?
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, Dad, what are you not telling us? Why does the base commander know you? Why does he know what I'm doing? I'm not in the service. I'm not in this. I thought you haven't talked to anybody from the Navy in like 10 years. He's like, well, I might have caught up with him a little bit when your brother went in. How do you just random? Okay, maybe you guys, maybe they served together and he had some names and made some phone calls.
Hey, at least your grandfather didn't almost accidentally start World War III.
Oh Jesus!
Oh, that sounds fun.
May I tell the story? So my grandfather.
Hang on, just real quick, you guys. We got 3 minutes of recording time left here.
Oh shit.
Let's throw some outros in here, and then we can wrap this conversation up or talk as long as we want, whatever. I don't want to not have something for you guys to like plug your show and everything. So.
Got it. Okay.
Understood.
Eric,
so, Mitch, do the damn housekeeping.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out the I Had to Say It podcast featuring your boys, the head advocate of the Big Titty Committee, Motorboat Matt Mish, and the Dollar Store Dom, Eric motherfucking Weinstein. Check out 69 Whiskey on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Google, the whole 9 yards. If you have a podcasting app, odds are we're on it. Social media, Twitter at 69 Whiskey Pod, Instagram and TikTok, 69 Whiskey Podcast, Facebook, the letters RU69 Whiskey. And for gaming content and more that we don't use for some reason, just search up 69 Whiskey. And you can also check out our show, which is syndicated on Full Swap Radio.
All right. Yeah, this has actually worked out really funny, too, because we got, like I said, about 2.5 minutes left here. And the memory card on the Roadcaster just filled up at the exact same time. It's like, bing, bing. Oh, okay, great. But anyway, I'm sorry. So now you were saying?
Well, so my grandfather, he was, I forgot what the fuck he was. I don't know. He was leading a platoon somewhere in Italy. And the military, they have scouts and shit that mark areas that you patrol around. Go ahead, Eric.
No. I'm saying you have 2 minutes. Make it fast.
Oh, fuck. Oh, was this actually going to go on the show? Shit. Okay. So the apparently some scouts didn't mark some areas that they can't pass because there was these little red dots or whatever the fuck. So he accidentally passes those areas, and turns out he hears a bunch of tanks over yonder. My grandfather and his squad look over the hill or wherever the fuck they are, and they're fucking Russian T-34s. My grandfather has now actively invaded the country of Yugoslavia. So obviously he has to hightail it the fuck back out of there. And that is how World War III almost happened.
There's one for the kids, I tell you. You know, great grandpa, you know what he did? He crossed the he took a left when he should have. This is why you always stop and ask for directions, kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Especially when you're in Detroit.
Oh, no. In Detroit, you do the Griswolds, roll them up, lock the doors, keep driving. Like, you kids seeing all this struggle? Yeah, roll them up.
I don't want to start another story.
Yeah,
I've got one in response to Matt's, but I don't want to start another one.
I can imagine. Well, I was gonna say, honestly, I'm willing to go as long as you guys want to sit around and shoot the shit. But at this point, it's purely for giggles, because
Yeah,
I mean, if we're finished, I actually do have to get going.
I was gonna say that's the other thing. I don't want to keep you guys forever because you know
I do have work in the morning, and I also feel bad. I left my dad hanging watching the games downstairs. So
I can tell one more story, and then I gotta go because I'm getting a guilt stare from my furry animal.
Yeah,
apparently she wants to go for a walk.
Yeah, that's probably why mine's on the other side of the door. Come on. Mom won't take me after dark.
Well, while you do that, Aaron, it was a pleasure to speak to you tonight.
Well, definitely.
I look forward to hopefully doing more shows with you, because this was a lot
sure.
of fun. We need to do this again sometime. But Eric, I will talk to you when I talk to you. You guys have a lovely evening.
Thank you, sir. You as well.
Have a good one, Mish. All right. So, my grandfather was in World War II, and he got drafted in as a medic. And if you know anything about medic helmets, they have giant white fucking crosses on them in World War II. So, day one, he gets boots on the ground, and all of the officers are like, "All right, everybody, keep your helmets on. Don't fucking take them off. We're in an active combat zone. Blah 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 blah." And this other medic gets on top of an American tank and starts shouting at the Nazis.
Jeez.
He's like, "Fuck you, Krauts. We're coming over. We're kicking your ass. We're gonna win this motherfucking war." And within 2 seconds of him starting to do that, he takes a bullet right through the middle of the goddamn cross on his fucking helmet.
Yeah.
My grandfather takes off his helmet, puts it in his bag, leaves it there.
I can't say I blame him. Oh Lord, that's yeah. I mean, that really is. I never understood that, because I mean that's kind of like we were talking earlier. When it comes to things like that, I like watching historical stuff. I like older things. I've probably seen enough World War II documentaries where I've seen the same people die 5 or 6 times at least.
Yep.
You know, because there's only so much footage out there. But I never got that in the early days, where it's like, okay, yeah, you're the medic. Why are we drawing attention to Doc? That's not, no.
I mean, here's another good one for you. Chaplain isn't allowed to carry a gun.
Yeah, so that could be a whole nother conversation. I never understood that one either.
I mean, understand it just because I had a chaplain explain it to me.
I mean, is it because they don't want to be put in the position of having to deal with killing people, or
no.
I don't.
It is because their job as a chaplain is to be mental and moral support in religious and non-religious matters. And the thing about that is, when you're in that kind of position, you are not supposed to have any form of violence around you or part of your persona. Okay. So for the chaplain, it is It is them actively choosing to show everybody, including the enemy, that they are there for peace.
Okay. I mean, I guess I can respect that.
It's
Uh,
it's helpful when you're running a campaign off of hearts and minds.
I mean, yeah, I get it. I think. Maybe it's just my inner cynic where I'm just like I mean
Oh, I'd never
more power to
fucking
him. I
do it.
couldn't do it.
Never.
Yeah,
Not in a million fucking years. No.
yeah.
If they would have once asked me to go to Afghanistan without a fucking gun, I would have told them to jump off a fucking bridge. Uh,
Yeah,
I
that
went over there with artillery.
yeah, it's that yeah, I'm much more of a I'd be more comfortable with the really big guns. And
I mean,
I'm pretty good at math. I
even
could have
that's
calculated that.
scary. Even that's fucking terrifying.
Um,
Because so
I
I
believe
was
you.
go ahead.
I was gonna say I believe you. I mean, like I said, I didn't enlist, but that was more because I'm a dumbass than anything else. Well, I don't know.
No, I'm not
Depends
gonna
on where you
say
st-
that.
allow me to amend that. It was more because I was being an arrogant twat instead of anything else. I can't. I'm not the kind of person where I can like bullshit about the motivation behind it. I didn't do it for some higher reason. I didn't do it because I was being particularly pacifistic or anything like that. It was because I was being an arrogant jackass, and the structure would not have worked with my personality at the time. I probably could have used it in hindsight, like looking back at my late teens, early 20s. I probably could have used a little more structure in my fucking life.
I did it for a paycheck.
That probably couldn't have
I
hurt either.
I needed steady money. I had a brand new family that I needed to provide for, and I was willing to sacrifice anything for them. And that's why I did it.
And I can respect that. That's
However,
a good reason to do it.
the job that I chose was not a fucking intelligent one. I mean, it was an intelligent one in the sense that I had to, yes, do a lot of math,
Yeah.
but uh being a forward observer for the field artillery is
Yeah.
terrifying.
That's I mean, literally right on the front lines at that point, right?
Yes, and you are all so as far as in country, it was very, very difficult to get anything fucking done with artillery. There were a lot of things that we did do, not things that I am going to talk about, but there are
Perfectly
lots
fine.
of things that we did do. Uh, but there was also a lot of stuff that we weren't allowed to do when we were in country, and a lot of things we had to let slide because of the fact that we were in country the way that we were in country. Uh, it was less of a war and more of a policing.
Yeah, I and artillery doesn't lend itself real well to policing.
No, no. But it does make roadside bombers reconsider their actions. Uh,
And I am actually 110% as someone who has a friend who got blowed the fuck up. I am 110% okay with that. That is I am very at peace with that concept.
but
I have a friend that is bionic at this point because
oof.
he likes to joke. I didn't leave my heart in country, but I left some other things. I'm like, the fact that you can laugh about it at this point, I'm good on you. I mean, I guess he's getting the right help or whatever,
I mean, yeah. I know I'm personally at 90, and I know that there are people that are a lot worse off than I am.
Yeah, I bet. I can't even say like, yeah, I totally understand. No, I'm not gonna be
Like,
that guy. Like I'm sympathetic. Nah, I respect it, but I'm not gonna pretend like I understand what you guys have to deal with.
yeah. And then what I did over there and the stuff that I accomplished wasn't even all that crazy. Like, I have a friend who is a real life fucking Superman. And I am very, very proud to say that he trained me to be the soldier that I was. Uh, but this dude, he was driving a striker in Afghanistan, which, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's basically a giant metal box on 6 wheels. But he ran over I want to say 300-pound IED.
That's pretty significant.
Yep. He was in this truck. He was the driver, and what was rolling along. Fucking the bomb blows up underneath the truck. Gunner loses both of his legs. Fucking Chaplin gets a concussion. LT breaks his tailbone. Chaplin's assistant breaks his arm. My buddy Lee, who is the driver, before I say what his injury was, I want to just tell you what this inside joke between me and this fucking corn-fed fucking mammoth of a man was. Lee not only was the fucking size of a skyscraper, but his major characteristics of his face was he had these fucked up snaggletooths from fucking dipping for fucking years. And I always used to give him shit that he was indestructible besides himself, and he was the only thing that could hurt himself. Now, after listing all of those injuries that I gave you for everybody else on that truck, what do you think happened to Lee?
Well, he knock his teeth out or something? I mean, I'm
He
saying
bit
that
his
based on
fucking lip.
Oh, jeez.
He bit his lip. And after getting blown the fuck up and only biting his lip out of it, fucking jumps out of the striker, which is now on fire, goes to the back door, rips it off of its combat lock,
jeez,
and then pulls everybody out of the vehicle.
Wow, that's I mean, I'm sure part of that's adrenaline because ripping the whole door off thing. But jeez,
Fucking just
that's nuts. And he bit his lip. That fucks. Jeez, I mean, that's impressive.
and I want you to understand, like, literally the month before, like, we are in Kyrgyzstan getting ready to go into fucking Afghanistan. And I go, Lee, I'm not even worried about you. The worst thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to bite your lip while we're over there.
Oh, jeez. Like, called it.
We give him shit about it all the time, too, now.
I was say that yeah, and you're still busting his chops about that, right? That's
Oh, absolutely. Every fucking day. The only thing that can kill Lee is Lee.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. I mean, big old corn-fed farm boy.
Grew up in a house made of tires. Built into the side of a mountain because his dad was afraid of fucking nuclear fallout.
One of those guys. I know a couple of them too, actually.
But all
I mean,
right.
hell, I got a family member that's in the swamps of Louisiana for exactly the same reason. He's like, I'm safe because there's nothing around here worth fucking blowing up. And I'm like, yeah, but
Do you really wanna?
is that really life worth living? Now, I mean, and I got, Cajun side of the family. I'm like, man, you fucking swamp people. But you're taking it to the extreme. Everybody else at least has electricity and fucking flush toilets. But, oh, yeah.
All right, I got to take this dog for a walk because now she is looking at me like I have taken away her favorite stuffed animal.
Yes, you have the betrayal. The betrayal is real.
Yep.
Come on, Dad, take me out. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, man. This was a blast. I had a great time talking to you guys, and thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord, come and interact, be a part of the show, buy the merch, support your favorite creator, or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.